welcome back to Wine Over Books with your girl Kay. By the title, you can see we are reviewing Blind Ambition. So before I get into this book, I just have to say the 3 books that I was supposed to do the reviews on, which is Be More Careful by Shannon Holmes, Then She Was Gone by Lisa Jules, and then Thin Lines by Tracy Brown. For some reason, those books have not come yet. I've been placed the order with Amazon. If you follow me on Instagram, then you know I got a whole bunch of books, but those 3 were not included in it for some reason. So once they come, I'm going to read them and review it. Let's just jump straight into it. I picked up this book on a random run to Target and read the synopsis, and I'm like, oh, it sounds a little juicy, right? So the story follows 2 main characters, Chantel and Jahet, right? So the book starts off crazy. So Chantel is going through / been through a nasty divorce in which her husband, Art, he took their money, gambled away their money, the home. He left Chantel for a white girl. He started doing cocaine, started gambling. He started doing everything. He drained their bank accounts. You name it, this man did it. And he was, all I can say is men. Fucking men, right? Chantel's character, she could be very timid. She's grown up with love. She's very nice. She works at a newspaper. I believe it's a newspaper journalism. I believe it's the newspaper though, the local newspaper in Missouri. She's an aspiring singer. Her estranged sister, Jahet, is famous. She's a singer. She's an actress. She was on a show. She lives in California. She's living a good life. They don't really speak. Jahet, in my opinion, I didn't like her character throughout most of the book. I thought she was rude. I thought she was self-centered. She was driven by materialistic things. She's 50 years old, still acting like she's 23. She gotta have it. She never stopped to really think about that her actions or words and how, what she do, her behavior contributed to some of the problems that she was in. She just think it's all about her, right? So the story, I'm gonna make a long story short. So, Jahet also doesn't speak to her mom. Chantel and her mom are very close. So unfortunately, the mom dies in a car accident. Chantel calls Jahet to let Jahet know. So during this time, Jahet is about to get her back blown up by her trainer. Mind you, never mix business with pleasure, right? So during the escalade, she and Jahet answers the phone. Chantel's like, yo, mom is dead. Jahet still decides that she's going to have sex with her trainer. So the way that Jahet deals with her problems is that through sex. Whenever she has a problem, she has sex and she suppresses everything. And that's no way to go about things because you're not healing. You're just suppressing it temporarily. But that's the way that she do things. I'm pretty sure people do that all now. Everybody have their vice, right? So Jahet tells Chantel, like, this is not a good time. First of all, your mama just died. You talking about this is not a good time. Is there a good time for death? I was just like, what? So she's so selfish. So it got to the point where Jahet is trying to rebuild her career and she got picked to be a judge on a music show. Think of like American Idol, right? So she flies back to Missouri for the funeral. So she basically told Chantel, she can't stay long for the funeral, only a day or 2, because she got to go back. She's got to start filming. Mind you, she's only driven by her career. She doesn't care about nothing else but getting back in the limelight, being the center of attention, being the center of a talk. And, people are feeding into that, right? So now, at the funeral, like how you have beef with people and then you see them and then they throw little smart remarks like, oh, you throw little hints like, I know a secret of yours. So the one thing about this book that I did not like is that I figured out early on what the family secret is, because the way the author wrote, if I felt like I was like right there listening to the conversation where she was Jahet got into a little scuffle with, I think her name was Brenda, right? Let me see. Yeah, Brenda. Jahet got into a little disagreement with Brenda, her past long-term friend, and Brenda basically said, like, have you something about Chantel, and I know something along the lines. And I was just like, I already had put 2 and 2 together. It was like a little remark. It had something to do with the mom, Chantel, and Jahet, right? So I'm like, the author's throwing out little hints too early. She's doing mad hints too early, and I already had figured out before I even knew what the secret was, and that I didn't like. Cause I'm like, for me, after I figured it out, obviously I'm gonna keep reading to prove myself right, But it just lessened the suspense. After a while, I was just like, And then when I did find out, I was like, do I want to keep reading? I hope there's another plot twist. That's the only thing that I don't like when authors, throw out little subtle hints, and then we catch it, and then it's just like it's no surprise for it. But anyway, so at the funeral, you know, Brenda says whatever she says, and then Jahet ends up slapping Brenda, right? So during the funeral, you know, Jahet didn't show up to the repast, and then eventually they start talking. Jahet invites Chantel to California with her son. So Chantel has a 3 or 4 year old son, right? So then Chantel takes Jahet up on her offer. They go to California. Why they in California, whatever. They grow a little closer, you know. Chantel's son is happy to be around her aunt. This is where you see that Jahet is actually flourishing with her family around. She likes having them around, but she's the type of person that they can only be around temporarily. Long term, she's not with the shits. But I understand that part. Like, I can only be around family for a certain amount of time. I think that's just normal, you know. So, anyways. So she's having the time of her life or whatever, but at the end of the day, you know, Jahet's still worried about her career and flourishing and being back in the lineup. She wants to be the center of attention, right? So Chantel actually had asked Jahet, you know, can we come stay with you in California? Because Chantel wants to get out of the Missouri life, the small town. They're from a small town. And, you know, she thinks she can thrive. So Jahet gets defensive because she's like, you know, anytime Chantel calls me, it's for money, stuff like that. She's a single mom. She's struggling. You know, you got all the money and stuff like that. But, again, I can understand Jahet's perspective in a way. It's like, yo, every time you hit me up, you need something, you get what I'm saying? And because I'm the breadwinner. But it's also to say that, you know, you never around, you get what I'm saying? And I'm supposed to be your sister. Can you help me out? You know, so I get it from both perspectives, right? So what happened after that? Hold up. Alright, during that time they spent together, Jahet had revealed that she was a rebel child and that she left California to pursue her career. And during that time, she was raped by her ex-manager, Gerald, right? So Chantel feels a little, you know, sympathetic and empathetic towards Jahet, and maybe the reason why she is the way she is, right? So after that, you know, Chantel and her son, they go back to Missouri. Chantel is going through her mom's belongings. She goes to her mom's house to pack up everything. During this time, she finds a little chest, right? Whatever, and it's locked away, has a key and all that. So she opens it, and then Chantel finds her birth certificate. But unfortunately, the name on her birth certificate is not her mother's. It's a woman named Simone, and the birth certificate is actually from Texas, not Missouri. So the information on the birth certificate that she has does not match the information on the birth certificate that she found. So she's a little confused. So she starts calling Jahet to find out, like, you know, what's going on. Do you know why I have another birth certificate, why mom's name is not on it, right? So once Jahet answers the phone, Jahet is actually caught off guard by the situation. But again, Jahet is for real, she got lies on deck. So, and she also didn't know that her mother kept the birth certificate. Again, remember, so I already figured it out before this part. I'm like, from the funeral to the little remarks that people were making in the book, I'm like, yeah, Jahet has to be Chantel's mom, right? I'm like, all right. But, you know, this time, Jahet's like, you know, trying to figure out how to maneuver. So what happened after that? All right, so Jahet ended up hanging up the phone. She had something to do. She calls Chantel back. She tells Chantel, like, yo, you know, you were adopted. You were adopted by, Anna is the mom's name. You were adopted by mom's brother. I'll tell you right now. She said Anna, her mom's brother, niece, Simone had her, and because they were too young, you know, she was given up for adoption. So Chantel's distraught. Not only did her mom die, she just found out that she's adopted, and the woman that she thought who her mom was is not her mom. So she's who can handle that? That's two blows right then and there. So I'm like, damn. I'm like, yo, sis can't catch a break within her personal life, her family life. You know, the blows just keep coming, but it gets worse. So Chantel has a bestie named Rita, and she also has a dude that she grew up with. What's his name? I can't remember his name. It's here somewhere, whatever, right? So she tells Rita, they decide that Chantel should take a DNA test, right? So cause Chantel's like, she wants to find this woman Simone to see like what's going on, can she get answers? So they take a DNA test, and the DNA test comes back to the person being a close relative to her mom, which is Anna, right? So example of a close relative would be like a sibling, a grandparent, or aunt. So basically the story that Jahet told Chantel doesn't match the DNA test, because it's like, for the story that Jahet told, be like a distant relative that actually doesn't share a bloodline. The DNA test says it's somebody that share a bloodline. So Chantel's like, nah, I'm about to keep searching or whatever, right? So meanwhile, Jahet is out here just living her life. She getting her career back. But she's worried. She starts worrying because Chantel at one point stopped calling about, finding out, the more to the story about who her mom is, and Jahet is worried that, Chantel may find out, but she's like, the only people who really know what's going on is her and her mom, right? Anna, and Anna's dead. So Anna is actually Jahet's mom, okay? But unfortunately, Chantel is not. So Chantel is actually sorting through her mother's clothes in the garage. She had took some of the clothes. She's going to give it away to the church ladies. While she's sorting through her mother's clothes, the friend I told you, his name is Terrence, right? Terrence comes over, they talking, they like each other, whatever, but Chantel sees Terrence as a playboy. Terrence goes through one of the mother's purses and finds a wallet. In the wallet, it has a picture of it has a picture of a girl, right? And then the name says Janetta Simone Scott, right? Janetta Simone Scott, that's her sister Jahet's full name. So Chantel's like, what did you say? So Terrence reads it, and then she puts two and two together. So lo and behold, again, I was proven right. Jahet is Chantel's mom. Anna, which is Jahet's real mom, which is Chantel's grandmother, decided that she was going to raise Chantel on behalf of Jahet, because Jahet was 16 or 17 when she got pregnant with Chantel. So she's extra distraught. So that's a third blow right there. To find out that your sister is actually your mother, who then lied to you about who your mother is and about the situation, and find out that your mother is your grandmother. This is a lot of shit, and I had to drink some wine. I probably would have lost my shit. What would you do if you found out? I don't think anybody would actually know what they would do. Is a rhetorical question, right? Anyways, so Jahet doesn't know anything about this, right? So Chantel decides that she's going to secretly travel to LA because she knows that Jahet is in New York. So she travels to LA. Jahet has a cleaning lady. The cleaning lady lets Chantel in because she knows Chantel and Jahet are sisters from the last time Chantel was there with her son. So Chantel's only there for about a good 7 minutes. Obviously she travels there, so it's only to think that she went to go get some some DNA, right? She told the cleaning lady that she left a chain there that was from her mom, right? Jahet ends up coming back home from New York early. So when she gets there, what happened? Hold on, I want to make sure. The housekeeper tells Jahet that, oh, your sister was just here. Because at this point, Jahet was calling Chantel, and Chantel's not answering the phone. Chantel's ignoring her. Like, I would ignore her ass too. So Jahet's trying to figure out, like, every time I call her, she usually answers. All of a sudden, she's not answering me, and I'm trying to give her some money, stuff like that. Because Jahet came into some new money because of the show, and then she got a music deal and all that extra stuff. So, she got some money, so she want to bless Chantel. But Chantel's not answering. Right? So when the housekeeper tells Jahet that, yo, your sister was here, Jahet goes off on the housekeeper and fire her, stuff like that, like telling me what happened. So it's basically, the housekeeper's like, yo, she left her chain, she came here, she came to God and she wasn't here a long time. So Jahet settles down a little bit because she's like, it does sound true because her mom was, Chantel and the mom was close. So she would fly all the way over there for a chain. You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm like, yo, Jahet is an asshole. Like, before she even hit the lady out, she started firing and stuff like that. Like, people like that, I don't like, right? So she calls Chantel to get a reply. She goes off with Chantel like, oh, you came into my house, bitch, this, that, and the third. Like, Jahet was the type of person, like, she liked to throw on a bitch word like crazy, and I didn't like how she spoke to Chantel, right? So anyway, so as Jahet is on her way, this is the next, I think the night or the next day, whatever. Jahet is on her way, she gets some mail, right? She's getting popular again, so she starts getting fan mail. So her assistant had gave her an envelope, right? And then there was a nice envelope, whatever. So Jahet opens the envelope, and on the card it says the words, "Mom, I get it now." And then, it's signed C. So she's shaking up like, how could Chantel figure out that I'm her mom? So then, she calls Chantel trying to figure out and start cursing her out and this, that, and the third. So that's that. I'm just like, you the liar, but you mad at sis? Like, I don't understand. She displaced her anger and her guilt onto other people and was never truthful to herself about the role that she played. That's why I would never be friends with somebody like that. So then she starts thinking back like, oh, that's why Chantel was in my home. So now she's upset. So she starts calling Chantel, leaving her crazy ass voicemails, right? So hold on. So now Jahet is only worried about the information getting out to the public. She don't care that she lied to Chantel. Chantel's going through this emotional roller coaster. She's like, my career's taking off. This can't be seen in the public, right? So during this time, Chantel is depressed. She's ignoring Jahet's calls. But she also wants to be civil, and she wants to figure out like, what's going on. She wants to hear the full story, right? So real quick, hold on. All right. So also during this time, her boss stops by to see her and hands her an envelope. And the envelope says, now you know this truth, how much to keep the truth hidden, right? So she's like, what the hell? Like, that was mad random. All of a sudden, she finds out the truth. Then all of a sudden she gets an envelope saying, like, now you know the truth. So I'm thinking like, yo, Jahet is really wild. Like, you sending threats to your sister. Like, that's crazy. That's not even your sister. That's your daughter, right? So then, hold on. So then at the same time, Jahet also gets a note saying, I think it was 100,000 or something like that to keep this secret, whatever, right? So Jahet calls Chantel, accuses Chantel of trying to blackmail her, and Chantel tells her like, yo, I received a threatening note as well, so why am I trying to blackmail you? So Chantel starts asking questions. Jahet tells about the situation. So Jahet ended up telling her, what happened, right? So Jahet tells Chantel that, unfortunately, Chantel, you are a product of rape. I met these dudes, we went back, I got raped, right? So Chantel becomes a little sore because she's like, damn, like, I understand. I can understand, the situation and why you kind of did what you did, and I'm sorry that you were raped, right? So during this time, I got the feeling that Jahet was just lying. I'm like, yo, the way she's saying it, but she doesn't sound like she's a victim of rape. It's just a lie that just rolled off her tongue. And I'm just like, I hope she's not lying, but I felt bad for her. I'm like, if she's not lying, then I'm like, damn, like, no one was, I can understand, like, you're a young girl, you got raped, of course, she's young, her career starting off, and she got raped. Like, I can understand she doesn't want to have an abortion, or maybe too late to have an abortion. I can understand why she asked her mom to raise Chantel. You know what I'm saying? I understand that part, but I just couldn't get it off my head that she was lying. During this time, Jahet starts reminiscing on the sex that she actually had, right? So she didn't get raped. She consented to the sex, right? So it just so happened that Chantel has a weekend job where she sings in a club for a dude named King Richardson, right? King Richardson, he has money. He's also running for mayor. And you know, she likes, Chantel likes singing it. She could blow, like Chantel could really sing. You know, the local community supports her. It just so happened that the dude that Jahed starts reminiscing about, that it was consensual sex, was King Richardson. So I'm like, here we freaking go. But you know, Jahed is not telling Chantel that, she's just thinking about it. So in my head, I'm like, all right. At 16, Chantel was being a little fast ass girl. Not Chantel, sorry. Jahed was being a little fast ass girl because she actually reminisced and lied about her age to King Richardson. So she told King Richardson that she was 18. They went back, had consensual sex, and then she got pregnant. When she got pregnant, she told her mom, you know, they went to Texas. In my head, I'm thinking like they went to Texas, had the baby, then she left to go to California, right? As she reminiscing about this, I'm like, yo, how could you lie about being raped? Right? So Jahed then decided that she's going to Google King Richardson. She decides to give him a call. You know, they haven't spoken since Sis left. Sis randomly left to California and didn't say anything to him. No, I'm lying. She told King Richardson about the baby, right? And then King Richardson was like, you know, that can't be my baby. But that was the only person that Jahed had sex with. So, you know, she just ended up having a baby, dumped it on her mom, and dipped off to California. After that, she never spoke to him again. And he's a high-profile man right now, right? So he ends up asking, they end up talking a little bit, whatever. They end up talking and all that, communicating. You know, he's happy to hear from her. So then Chantel receives a random call, right, saying that she has 1 month to come up with $100,000. So the person who's blackmailing them is just coming at all full force, right? So the lady, at one point, Chantel had a gig at the club, so she goes to the department store to shop for a new dress, right? The same time, Brenda, who was at the funeral that Jahed slapped, is at the department store. She helps Chantel trying to dress. You know, they start talking, and then Brenda ended up coming to the club. At the club, later that night, you know, she tells Chantel why she didn't like Jahed. She basically said, Jahed stole my man. We were friends. You know, that's why I don't mess with her. And at the that same night, it was a big night. Chantel ends up being featured in the paper, the local paper, for her singing. You know, people catching all that extra stuff, right? So now Chantel's getting a little recognition from the local paper about her singing. Jahed is dealing, you know, her career is thriving. It's moving fast. She's getting deals. They dealing with the blackmail, all this extra stuff. So, but Jahed's not really worried about the blackmailer because she's like, you know, it is what it is. Right? So the blackmailer threatens, like, you know, if I don't get my money, the whole world's gonna know your secret. So at the same time, while Jahed is kind of rekindling an old friendship with King Richardson, she sets her eyes on a billionaire named Godfrey, who is King Richardson's friend, because Jahed mindset is like, I'm not going to be able to, you know, work in long term. Like, I want somebody to take care of me. I need somebody that could support my lifestyle, who's rich, who I could get my feet in the door, like we could marry, you know, he could take care of me. So Godfrey is the right man, and Godfrey is widowed. I believe his wife I think his wife died or they divorced. I believe she died, right? So now we fast forward, whatever. So now Jahed ends up getting another message from the blackmailer saying, I need you to send $150,000, right? So Jahed tells Chantel that the blackmailer had ended up calling King Richardson and telling King Richardson, like, yo, Jahed has something to tell you about you got a kid or something like that, another kid, right? And Chantel is trying to figure out, like, you know, why would the blackmailer call King Richardson? Like, and then King Richardson also won the mayoral race, so it was just weird. And I'm like, Chantel, put the pieces together, sis, put it together. So then she starts putting the pieces together. And she puts the pieces together from what Jahed says, what King Richardson's like, yo, is King Richardson my father? So Jahed then calls Chantel called Jahed. Jahed then answered. Jahed calls her back. Jahed tells Chantel that yes, King Richardson is her father. Terrence, her dude, was over there checking on her. He overhears everything. Now Chantel's extra distraught. So not only is her mother, her sister, her mother, her father is her boss. This is like, the story just gets crazy, y'all. So anyway, so Chantel has to get a little break. She drops her son off to the father's house, and then she, one second. Yeah, so she needs a break. So King Richardson comes over and pops up at her house, right? Because he's aware of all the little stuff. He keeps telling Chantel, I mean not Chantel, Jahet, that, you know, there's no way that Chantel could be my daughter. Like, there's no way. Like, my father always told me to strap up. And we used a condom on that, right? So he pops up at Chantel's house because Chantel hasn't been coming into work. Somebody else has been feeling her singing slide because she's just out of it. So he tells Chantel that, you know, the sex with Jahet was consensual after Chantel had accused him of raping Jahet. He's like, yo, I guarantee I never raped a woman in my life. The sex was consensual. And I didn't even know that Jahet was 16. She told me that she was 18. And then after we had sex, she just ran up to California. The next time I saw her, she was on TV in a show. And then Jahet actually believed him, and because, you know, King Richardson is a nice dude. Like, he's been helping out the situation. He knows about the blackmailer. He hired an investigator to investigate and all that, right? So King, he ended up telling Chantel that he is not her dad. And then at the same time, Chantel had gave King Richardson a glass of water to drink from. So when he leaves, Chantel's like, I'm gonna just do a DNA test to really find out if you my father or not. So I'm like, I would have did the same thing too. So she takes the glass, goes to run into the DNA. She's waiting for that, right? At the same time, they decide not to pay the ransom. It's been a month, right? So after the ransom hasn't been paid, a few weeks go by. You know, Jahet is chilling, Chantel's chilling, and then all of a sudden, in the headlines, Jahet sees the paper, whatever. It says Jahet's secret daughter is on the Jahet's secret daughter, and Chantel's on the cover of the paper, the magazine, right? So then Terrence and Chantel. Oh, I'm sorry, y'all. The camera almost fell. Damn, yo. My bad, y'all. Camera almost fell. Well, let me fix it. Alright, yeah. So Terrence and Chantel actually starts getting closer during this time. They start becoming a couple. You know, Chantel's going back to singing. You know, she's getting her life together. She's figuring out stuff. So one day they out, Terrence and Chantel's out shopping for houses, I believe. And Chantel had turned her phone off. And then when she turned it back on, you know, people's blowing up her phone. She like, what's going on? She finds out that the news broke to the paper that, you know, she is the daughter of Jahet. So the Jahet's label and manager start asking, you know, is this true? Jahet's still lying. Jahet then thinks that, you know, the person who is the blackmailer is Brenda because Brenda has some animosity against her. So Jahet decides that she's gonna fly back to Missouri. King Richardson books her an Airbnb. At the Airbnb, she calls Brenda. Chantel was in communication. Brenda at one point told Chantel in the story that, you know, I have some news for you. I think this might help Jahet, because Brenda, it really was trying to be a good friend despite everything. And at one point, there was one person who knew about Jahet's secret, which was her old best friend, but the old best friend had died, right? So Brenda decides that she's going to meet Jahet at the Airbnb. Next thing you know, Jahet starts attacking Brenda. They start fighting. Chantel gets an uneasy feeling because King Richardson had called Chantel when he left the Airbnb with with Jahet. He went to go see her when Jahet flew in, and he called Chantel when he left, like, yo, I think something's going to happen. He got an easy feeling. So Chantel wants to go check up on Jahet, and Jahet didn't even tell Chantel that she was coming into town. So when she gets to the Airbnb, she sees Jahet and Brenda fighting. Next thing you know, Brenda's like, F this, like, I try to help you out, bitch, but, you know, you want to fight me. So Chantel begs Brenda to tell her what she know. So Chantel ends up telling Jahet what she knew. So long story short, her ex-best friend, I forgot her name, right? Before her ex-best friend died, the ex-best friend and Brenda had a conversation. The ex-best friend told Brenda, like, yeah, you know, we met King Richardson and his cousin. They all went back that night to King Richardson's house or whatever. Jahet and King Richardson did have sex. It was protected sex, but the cousin or the friend or whatever he was, came into the room. Jahet was out of it and raped Jahet. So it did determine that, unfortunately, the lie that Jahet told about being raped actually turned out to be true, and Jahet didn't even know. So Chantel is a product of rape, right? So then, Jahet is taken back, like completely taken aback, right? So, it wasn't King Richardson's cousin, it was a friend. It was mad characters in the book. Forgive me, y'all, right? And the ex-best friend name is Yvette. So Brenda, Jahet, King, all of them, they just, like, damn. So King Richardson hires an investigator. I told you he had the investigator. The investigator finds out that, his friend, which is Ray, that was with him and who raped Jahet, is actually the person who is doing the blackmailing, right? And he did in fact rape Jahet. But Ray, when he was confronted by the investigator and King Richardson, said, the sex was consensual, and they were like, how when Jahet was passed out. You get what I'm saying? So Jahet is also dealing with that. So I'm just like, this is one crazy ass freaking story. So during this time, Jahet is still calling Chantel's, this is my sister, hey, this is my sister. The truth is out, she's still saying this is her sister. And Chantel's going through it like, you can't even acknowledge how I'm feeling. I'm not your sister. You are my mother. I am your daughter, right? So Jahet just refuses to acknowledge that. Then as the story goes on, Jahet decides that, I need to tell my story. So she decides to do an interview with a popular YouTuber, black YouTuber. She tells her story on the YouTube channel, right? Further down the line, Chantel's actually doing great now. Everything is, it is what it is. She's coming to terms with it. Their relationship kind of getting a little better. So Chantel decides that she's going to quit her job. She moves into Terrence with the house that they picked out. They get engaged. And then she wants to start her own blog, right? Next thing you know, Jahet career took off, but she ends up deciding that she's gonna, take little gigs. So they in Vegas. Before this, King Richardson calls Jahet like, yo, I have a friend. My friend's wife loves your music. Can you fly down to the Bahamas to sing for her? Jahet says, all right, boom. I'm gonna go to the Bahamas. Once she goes to the Bahamas, she ends up singing for the wife. There she meets Godfrey, right? So I remember Godfrey is the person that she wanted to use to get to get together so he could take care of her. But after Jahet told her story, she feels a little free. She feels okay. She's growing. Like, she's not being an asshole like she was in the past. She's growing, and she's recognizing that she could be have these maternal instincts and realizing, like, Chantel is actually my daughter, right? So her and Godfrey end up getting together, and I'm like, all right, I see the change in Jahet's character, and I like that, because I definitely did not like her ass, right? Next thing you know, Terrence and Chantel goes to Vegas to see Jahet sing. They're in Vegas, Jahet and tells the crowd, like, this is what I've been going through. I had a child. My mother raised a child, but she's still my sister. But this is my daughter. So we like sister, daughter, whatever. And this is the first time that Jahet actually acknowledges that Chantel is her daughter. And I gave it a clap. And it was the start of a brand new relationship, and I was happy to see it, right? So everybody's life is doing much, much better, because secrets never stay hidden. No matter how hard you try, a secret will not stay hidden. Especially family secrets always come to life. And it's sad to say, when somebody dies, a family secret comes out. It's sad to say. I definitely enjoyed the read. Like I said, the only part is because I figured out this family secret in the beginning. It was kind of like, but then the plot twist, I really thought King Richardson was the daddy. He wasn't the daddy. She was in fact raped. I didn't think that she would acknowledge Chantel as her daughter, but she definitely did. I didn't think that she was going to change her mindset and, be a good person and actually acknowledge the role that she played in the situation, but she did. So I was proven wrong. I will say the synopsis on the back of the book definitely does not, like, the synopsis is a completely different story from what I read. Like, I don't know what's good with the author, because it basically says here, right? One second. It said that Chantel soon comes up with the perfect vengeful weapon, a best-selling all book that will reveal Jet's story past. Not once in the book did Chantel think about writing a bestseller book. She never thought about that. She never really thought about getting revenge on Jahet because it would blow back on her. So, like, the book, like, reading this, it will make you, reading the synopsis will make you want to read the book, but when you actually read the book, it's a completely different story. So it's very misleading. I didn't like that, because I was like, damn, like, I was waiting for Chantel to get, evoke revenge on Jahet, because I'm like, yo, like, Jahet violated, but it never happened. It didn't happen that way. But it definitely was a good read. I definitely liked it. I like that I could picture, like, the conversations. Like, it's like conversations that I would have with my friend. I laughed, I didn't cry, but I was very empathetic to Chantel's character. I definitely like the flow of the book. Is an easy read, but yeah, it's like you was having a conversation, so you could feel the characters, the emotions, and the storyline. It was a fitting storyline. Like I said, the synopsis and the actual story is two completely different things. It is misleading. Again, I don't know what the next book review is. I'm lying. I'm currently reading a book called Couples Wanted by Brianna Cole. It's a new release. I love her books. So I'm gonna drop that review as soon as I finish the book, and if you can, go get it. But until next time, guys, your girl is out.